Hello everyone, how are we doing? So I always see decluttering videos and they do very well here. It was actually one of the first videos I also made on my channel. It's privated now, but in the videos that I've seen, people are just like, yeah, I'm just gonna donate it. I'm just gonna donate it. And there's like no shade to that, obviously, but as somebody who has just learned a lot more about sustainable fashion and just the huge amount of waste, it's really important that we understand when we just give our clothes to donations, like that's not the end of the story. So if you didn't know already, 85% of our clothing, of our textile, ends up in landfills. We've created so much waste and so much of that comes from clothing and textiles. So that's why when we see these declutter videos, and if you are decluttering yourself, try to declutter as responsibly as possible. There are better homes that you can be sure about for where your clothing is gonna go. So first, I think we need to talk about like decluttering your closet videos as a whole. I just see these videos blow up on a lot of different channels, big and small. Like as somebody who also looks for video ideas on YouTube, I will see these videos pop up. And when I go to that creator's page, decluttering closet videos are always like one of the top viewed in their like, if it's recent, it's like one of the top viewed. And we just want to be more intentional about what's coming in so that when we declutter, it's not really piles on piles of clothes, because why are we decluttering so much in the first place? Like if there was that much to have been decluttered, I think we can just all do better with our shopping habits and our consumption rates, how much we're buying and all that kind of stuff. Do you actually want to buy it? Is it made of a good fabric? Is it something that really fits you well? Is it something that you can wear over and over again? Is it something you can mix and match? And just making sure that the pieces that are coming in, it's actually something that fits you and aligns with you, and it's not something that you're buying into quite literally as part of a trend cycle that's just gonna keep on developing and evolving, and something that, you know, is not really going to be in or feel fashionable or just feel right for you, maybe for in the next couple weeks, months to come. I will discuss all the options. I'm just gonna give you what I feel like is my tier of like best to worst things you can do with your clothes in the decluttering process. So the first thing I have is to just give it away to somebody that you know. The second is to sell your clothes, so I'll discuss that in a sec.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Why is Siri listening to me? And then it's recycling your clothes, which I feel like does not get talked about enough. Fourth is donating. And yes, I put donating as the fourth out of 5 options, the 5th option being trash it. So you can see this is probably very much against the grain of what you really hear in terms of options, but that's why I'm here to talk about it. So let's just go through the options. The first being giving away, right? Not to sound like a hypocrite, but I've actually never done this, but I do think it's the best option if it is like available to you. If you know someone in your life that like shares a similar style, shares the same size, all that kind of stuff, and they be down to have your clothes, I think it's great because it's probably like one of the more convenient options, and you know that your clothes are securely definitely getting a new home, and you're also helping to glow up somebody else's closet. So I think it's like, why not? So the second one I have is selling, and this is like, there's so many things to already go into it. So let's just talk about like the options of selling to start with. So you can sell by yourself on apps. So this is like Poshmark, this is Depop, Vinted, Mercari, like all those apps out there. Where you'll find buyers depends on the style of clothes. Like Poshmark is more general, and then Vinted is more like Vinted, and there's another one, Curtsy. It feels more like young Gen Z kind of vibes. And then Depop is just like more cool and hip. Although it doesn't really even have to be that, because when I've sold clothes myself on those apps, I've actually sold the most on Depop. So that's like one thing to sell by yourself. Another option is to have somebody else resell it for you. This is like using ThredUp. This is also like selling to thrift stores like Buffalo Exchange and whatever is local to you. They'll buy it off of you to resell in their stores. And for ThredUp, if you're curious about the process, I have a video like that I will link, and it's just like how much I made from my ThredUp clean out kit, that's what they call it. I put selling as number 2 because again, this option is like, you know that your clothing will have another life and it will have another use. I like thread up the bows just because I don't like doing all that work posting, and you know, when I use the apps like Depop before, it's really satisfying to get a sale, yes, but it's also this question of like, will it even be sold? Like, it might sit on your page or profile forever. Because of that, you kind of have to hold the inventory yourself somewhere else in your closet, or just like make a space for it. And when you're trying to declutter, I feel like you're trying to declutter, you're trying to clean out, and it's like, I don't really want to see this anymore in my life. For selling to secondhand shops, like, I personally haven't ever done that before, so I can't really talk about my experience there. But if a shop is going to buy clothes off of you, then they will sell it in that store. You know it's going to be in that store for somebody else to buy. So I think you also get some assurance that somebody else will wear it and it will get a second life. Although for the clothing that they don't sell, I'm not sure yet. So I will look into that and let you know right here. So the third one I have is recycle. There's a lot of different ways to do this, and I'm just gonna sort it out by like everything, and then also undergarments. Like, can you even believe? So everything, there's 2 companies, 2 apparel brands that actually do this. One is called 4 Days, and their take back bag, and I actually did a partnership with them in Earth Month, but this video isn't sponsored, by the way. So they have a take back bag where you can literally put anything in. Like, I'm surprised at how much they take. Literally any type of apparel you have, clothing, textile, so it can even be like towels, curtains, bed stuff, like literally any kind of fabric, they will take it in any type of condition. So it can be new with tag stuff, or it can be with like crusty dusties. They don't recycle everything in the bag. They kind of do sorting on their own after they get the bag. And if it's like in good condition, it'll have a second life. But if it's in like unwearable, dusty condition, then it'll be like upcycled for a new purpose. So you can just make sure that everything in the bag will be taken care of. The thing with this is it does cost $20 to buy the bag, and then you get credit for like using on 4 Days website. Oh yeah, also this hat is from 4 Days. What they're doing is super cool, and they're just like helping to build a circular fashion. So the other brand that does this is called Thousandfell, and they are a sneaker company. I think I've talked about their sneakers before, but yes, I really love the look of them. They also have like a textile recycling program, and you can just search it up. I do believe it's free, and then you get like credit for sneakers, like up to $65 off. I feel like that's a really great deal, especially if you are in the market for a new pair of sneakers, because what's cool about their sneakers is their sneakers are recyclable. So like literally whatever you do with your shoes now, like I don't know, but like when your sneakers are done, like at the end of their life, instead of tossing them in the trash, like they'll take it back and then they'll recycle it. So I think that's definitely another great program to look into, and a great brand to support as well. Those are kind of the 2 brands that are really spearheading circular fashion. So it's really like, you know, they're living up to it. So both of those bags, they do take everything. They do take undergarments, but if you just have undergarments that are like obviously undergarments, used undergarments, underwear, bras, socks, like can't really be sold, you know what I mean? Like there's a company called Nikki, I'll link everything down below so you can see them, and they make underwear, and in line with that they have like an undergarments recycling program. So that includes like what I said before, like socks, bras, hosiery, tights. My camera battery is literally so weak, y'all, like it irks me. So they have this program where you can just put your undergarments in. They give you a shipping label once again, and they can be in any condition as well, because what happens is they're not going to be warm. So they can take that kind of stuff. I've used their program 2 times actually, and what they do is they repurpose whatever you send in to become like insulation or like mats and stuff like that. So it's like more for industrial purposes, but if it has a purpose, then a win is a win. And also I think you get like a free pair of Nikki's if you do this program. It's just so good and I would recommend it for everyone. But yes, let's move on to donating. Like, what a huge topic. For the details, it would need its own video, but just to sum it up from everything that I've seen and from a friend who actually used to work at Goodwill, a lot of the stuff that gets donated does not end up getting resold, or not resold to the general consumer. They basically get exported to the global south as a problem for them to take care of. Like, there'll be bales and bales of clothing, just so much, because honestly at the end of the day, stores like Goodwill, they have so much volume coming in and they have so much to take care of that it's just not sustainable for them to take care of every single piece of clothing that comes in. And as somebody who has also volunteered at like a second-hand pop-up kind of event, and I was in charge of like sorting what was coming in, you would just not even believe what some people put in as like, or what some people donate thinking it can be resold. I guess some people use donating or donation as literally trash. It's just really ridiculous. But anyways, for clothing that's even in good condition, it gets exported off. For example, there's this huge market in Ghana called the Canto Manto Market. Canto Manto Market. I'm gonna have to put in the receipts later in editing. But basically, this is like one of the world's largest secondhand markets where the clothing is sold. The clothing gets sorted to be sold in these places, and the resellers, they buy what they think will be sold. But anything left over that's not sold basically just gets pushed into a landfill. And it's surprisingly a huge number of clothes, because what they call our clothing from the global north, they call it dead white man's clothes. And it's really interesting because most of us don't really think about what happens after putting clothes in donation. I mean, I was somebody that always donated as my first option too. So this is why I say like no shade to any creators, because that's like what we have kind of been led to believe, that if you do donate stuff, they do get a second home. And of course there will be clothes that will be resold, but a lot of it will end up in the landfill, especially with just the case of our clothing today, where a lot of it is polyester, aka derived from petroleum. They do end up leaching chemicals into that local place, and it's just like not a fun experience. Plus, since it's basically plastic, it's gonna take hundreds and hundreds of years, your lifetime times 5, to really decompose. Not to mention in the process just harming the local area and their natural resources and their waterways and all that kind of stuff. And that's why I put donating so low in my list. While there is a chance that it will be sold, it's like something that is always up in the air and you just never really know. Something else I want to talk about for donation is the drop boxes that like H&M and Uniqlo has. So I recently saw a TikTok that kind of exposed the H&M drop boxes, where they're like, oh yeah, just like give us your old clothes and we will make sure it gets responsibly taken care of. So in that guy's TikTok, I don't think it was himself, but basically there was this story that somebody put an air tag in the clothing they dropped off in H&M's box just to see where it would go. They found that the air tag ended up being in a landfill. And everything I mentioned before, giving away, selling, recycling, like all of these, you know, the clothing isn't going to trash. And basically, if you didn't know, trash is the worst option. We all want to, you know, reduce waste and try to be low waste. If you find that none of the other things I say are applicable for what you have, then trash is probably the way to go, sadly. And of course, especially because, like I mentioned with what I said about what I saw in what people donated, but for something that has like mildew and mold and all that kind of grossness, please trash it. Don't even think about selling, don't think about recycling, don't think about all that kind of stuff, because it's disgusting. I feel like that should be common sense, but based on what I saw, I don't think it is. Overall, the theme is to ask the question, where will things go? How sure are you that your clothing will get a second home. And of course, everything just depends on your time and what you have and the amount of effort it takes, say, for like selling versus recycling. But yeah, a lot of different things up for consideration. That's also why I wanted to make this video, because in our world today where we're buying more clothes more than ever in fabrics that decompose slower than ever, everyone just has their own like personal timelines and preferences and things they want to try out. So I really want to present all these options instead of just the donating blanket statement. Enjoy your declutter.